Neon streets, they glow tonight. Questions buzzing in the light. Cheyon's got answers cool and clear. Traffic truths you'll wanna hear. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. Brake lights flash under the moon. Sean's wisdom cuts through the gloom. Relaxed and fun with a steady tone. He makes the road feel like home. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. From stop signs to
Guess what? I'm late. 11 minutes late. It's not that late. But I got to say that when the heating and air conditioning guy shows up at your door to fix your stuff, you give him the time because you're sweating. And that's what happened tonight. So sorry I was late. I said 9 o'clock. It was 9:11 when I actually sat down and hit the go button. And I don't feel bad at all because it's hot in here. Yes, the air conditioning has not been going not properly. It's 81 degrees upstairs. So yeah, most important man in my life right now is the guy working on the air conditioning outside. Hope you're doing well. Missed you for a whole week. What's going on? Talk to me. We are a community about, well, we're drivers, and drivers are a community. And some of us know stuff and things and want to share them, like me, Sean Shapiro, former police officer. Love talking about this stuff. Love helping you out. It's a thing. It's a thing that I'm passionate about, which is why that even though I'm retired from policing, I'm not retired from you. And I'm supported by magical people at Diamond and Diamond, amongst other sponsors like Better Traffic, the not-for-profit organization that I created when I left the police, like, well, Barrett Legal. They've been in it since the beginning. Anyway, big shout out to them. If you need a lawyer, those are good lawyers. They're the largest largest personal injury law firm in Canada. And that's a serious bragging rights. Serious. All right. What are we going to talk about? Nate wants to know why cops are so useless nowadays. Do you think all cops are useless? Do you think it's the cops that are useless, or do you think it's the judicial system that's not doing its job? Because I think cops are pretty awesome. And not just because, well, yeah, man, I'm totally biased that I think cops are awesome because I was one, but I also think that the job is rigged because they go out and bust their humps to go make the world a better place, and then they have to deal with the law, and the law is frankly screwed, and the judicial system is enforcing it the way they think is good. Yeah, it's an issue. JSB says, sorry, typo above, but unfortunately I don't know the typo because the first message I saw was, sorry, typo above. So JSB, ask again. And if the TikTok moderation automatic AI magic is not letting you ask the way you want, try rephrasing it. John Kearns coming in by LinkedIn says, no late night ticket this time, just a warning. That's for me being late. Well, thank you. I appreciate your forgiveness, your understanding there, John. And Brandon says, hello, Sean and all, back in Orangeville, Ontario, not from Orangeville. He's always in Florida. Home for a bit. Hopefully you had a fantastic day. I had a very warm day because not only is the air conditioning not working in my house, it's not working in my truck. So the truck was in the shop today, and I was using my friend's van, which I'm very appreciative of, and the air conditioning's not working in that. Today's been hot, 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 hot. And windows, and I actually 3D printed a window scoop to try and get more flow. I need more air. And Mike Mann lent me his what's that? Not Makita. What's the Milwaukee? He lent me a Milwaukee fan that's a cigarette lighter adapter, and I didn't have a free cigarette lighter adapter between phone charging and dash camera cameraing. It did not. I did not get anything there. Just looking at the Instagram, lots of folks who have popped in, some who have stayed, others who have left. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen and show the live stream some love, because we want to get more people in here to ask questions. It's always interesting when people ask questions, and it's less interesting when it's just me talking about what I want to talk about, which right now is a toss up. I've been talking a lot about 3D printers. I got a new one, and I'm loving it. It's been awesome. I made some cool stuff, and I'm making more cool stuff. But I had some frustrating stuff today. So if you want to talk about 3D printing, we can certainly do that. I got a Bamboo Labs H2D, and it's awesome. In terms of other stuff, I've been looking at the amateur radio testing, all the testing pool. If you know anything about amateur radio, you need to get a certificate to operate one. I have mine, and I've working with some others who are still working towards theirs. And I think it was, I don't know what day it was, June 1st, 15th, something, or July 1st, 15th. I don't know. One of these days of the recent past, they changed the question bank. So it was 1,000 questions from one bank to 1,000 questions from a new bank, where different wordings and different focuses and different presentations changed all the stuff. Oh, Brandon says it was 112 degrees when I left Florida yesterday. Yeah, that's hot. But your air conditioning was likely working. I think it's a law there that your air conditioning must work. It's 81 degrees in my house. 112 degrees would suck in my house. That would be terrible. Okay, let's see. Maple Leafer says, have you ever thought of inviting Pappy for an interview? Ask him if he ever had a cruiser without air conditioning. I don't think I've ever had it. And I would not work in a cruiser without air conditioning. I don't think Pappy would either. I mean, you need it with all the gear. In fact, what we played with, dabbled with, experimented with is hoses that clamp on the air conditioning vents and go right into the vest. I think he's got one. I'm pretty sure he's got one. Okay. Oh, we've got Harjeet Chabra, who wants to know if it's okay to speed in order to pass someone. And the answer is no. Speeding is against the law, even if you're passing someone. There is no legal exemption to speed. Thus, speeding to pass someone could get you a ticket. It's a bad deal. And Harjeet says he came from Instagram. That's not bad. I see there's a bunch of other people on Instagram. Hello, everybody. Dave Audette, what's going on? We've got, what is this? Oh, Nick Grennan wants to know how police can catch someone on the 4-lane highways like 17 and 401. How do we catch people? Well, generally speaking, we're making observations in a moving vehicle, and then we're pulling you over. If you're talking about how they do lock and chase, or they have bridge situations where a partner is on a bridge making observations, radioing to a person on the road to make a stop based on their findings, there's all sorts of different ways to do it. I'm not sure I understand your question, but I mean, I've pulled lots of people over on the highway. Ethan wants to know if you can drive fast in the left lane, and you can go as fast as legally permitted. The left lane is not a speed lane. There's not an exemption lane. There's nothing to do there except drive the speed limit. And people seem to get that wrong. They really think that they have a license to go fast on the left lanes. It's not accurate, and you're going to end up getting in trouble one day, even if you've been lucky so far. And I watch people go bananas on the 400 series highways when I frequent Barrie, and I can tell you that you're not allowed to do that, and a lot of people are getting pulled over. Now, Barrie in particular, there's a lot of people who are in the stunt driving category there. And then the speeds drop down to 80 kilometers an hour, and people are like, but it's 100 here. No, it's 80 there. So when my buddy got pulled over, he was doing 117, and he's lucky. He's lucky because he got a warning. I don't know why he got a warning, but he got a warning. Okay. And let's see here. We have Nora, who got 100% on their driver's exam. Congratulations, Nora. Which button is the wrong button? There, that's a good button. There's the button I was looking for. Congratulations, Nora, on 100% on your driving exam. Good for you. Now, does that mean that it was the written portion that was 100%? By the way, did you hear the applause? Did you hear that sound? I'm not sure if I'm the only one who was hearing the sound effects or if you're actually hearing them. They're actually here. Let's do a little test. Let's do a little test. Hang on, I'm looking for the loop. It's just me, isn't it? Oh no, you're hearing it too. Good. That would be very. I mean, it's happened where I played audio, and yes, I was the only person who was hearing it. Like I'm bouncing along to the songs, playing on the computer, and I'm an idiot who is just the only person who can hear it. I'm glad this is not the case today. Tracy says, "Hey Sean, can you explain the RV designation for trailers that just came up?" I can't because I haven't read it. What is the RV designation and what application are we talking about here? RV designation for trailers, new HTA. Let's see what we see here. In Ontario, recreational vehicles, RVs, and trailers are subject to specific licensing and registration requirements. As of July 1st, 2025, new driver's license regulations are being implemented, impacting how RVs are classified and which license are needed to operate them. Really? Oh, this is exciting news, only because it's a change and I haven't seen change in a long time. Class ABCD full license can drive any RV regardless of weight. D with RV restrictions can drive any RV regardless of weight. E, F, or G with RV endorsement can drive RVs weighing up to 14,000 kilos. EFG without RV endorsement can drive RVs weighing up to 11,000 kilos. Interesting. This RV endorsement, I'm going to have to do some homework. Thank you, Tracy, for bringing this up, bringing me the news. That's awesome. Yeah, I was totally unaware. I've been very out of the studying up on laws recently bubble because I've been so busy with other things. This is very much not a full-time job. I had hoped it could become something that I could keep going full-time, but I have been actually it's not just a hope thing. I've been so busy with other opportunities that have been coming my way that I've not only had to scale back how much time I can put into Ask a Traffic Cop and Better Traffic. I'm still doing it, but it's a fraction of what I was doing, and I have some exciting stuff coming down the pipe. But it's for the future. I can't talk about it yet. Lots of cool stuff, and as a result, I missed this trailer business or RV business. Very cool. I'll have more on that later in the week, maybe next week. Maybe we'll do some videos on it. So thank you, Tracy, for bringing it up. Moving on. Ethan says to Nick Grennan, patrolled by aircraft. He wants to know how people get caught on the 4-lane highways. Patrolled by aircraft is one way. It's not the only way, and it's certainly not the primary way. Usually it's an officer with either moving radar in their vehicle or standing at the side of the road or sitting in their vehicle with laser out the window. They wait till you pass and they take off after you, catch up to you, and pull you over. Or the bridge overpass kind of situation that I talked about earlier. But certainly aircraft is one way, and it's a spotter who, with the assistance of a camera mounted in the aircraft, can determine your speed, your velocity based on their measurements. JSB has clarified their question. Can I touch my phone while driving for any reason when it's mounted? Example, change the music. And the answer is, JSB, no. You are only allowed to touch your phone if it's mounted to answer or hang up a phone call. That is it. That is all. You can have a screen visible to you if it's displaying your GPS mode, but you can't touch it or interact with it in the GPS mode. You are using it if you do, and if you use your phone while driving, regardless of whether or not it's mounted, you are distracted driving. Simple as that. So music adjustments, no. And the fact is, you can talk to your phone. It may not like what you have to say, but you can talk to it. You can tell it to skip to the next song. You can say, play a particular soundtrack or playlist. Do it all the time. I request music. My kids say, Dad, play Blackpink. And I say, okay, what's Blackpink? Actually, I know what Blackpink is because we went to their concert. And that was an experience. I've never been to a K-pop concert before, but I did go to that one. And it was good. I'm shocked, but it was good. They are quite the show persons. They're amazing thing. And a shout out to the Rogers Stadium staff. Magical experience. They were so helpful. I'm not a big crowds line up, do all sorts of hiking 32 minutes from the parking lot, but it was an amazing experience. The people in the areas that we were so good to us, and I appreciate them. Now let's have a look and see if we got anything. Oh, we got David that's saying, hello, Sean. Hope you're having a great night. I am. It's a warm one because the air conditioning isn't working, but I am having a good one. Lacose, I think it's Lacose. Small print at a distance. Good evening, Sean. Good evening back to you. Let's see here. They said or they need to make the stunt driving fine stiffer for over 150 last few days. I think that we need to have stiffer fines for everything. We have like some of the lowest fines. Now, stunt driving, we have some of the highest fines in the country, but still way too low. I think we should be taking cars and crushing them. I don't think we should be letting people, just reoffend, and they do reoffend. So if you do the stunt stuff in a car, I think you should lose the car. Period. I think we should stop ticketing e-bike riders who are in violation vehicles, like vehicles that are motorcycles, not e-bikes, because they do 60 or they do over the 32 kilometers. Take them, seize them until court. Let them lose their $6,000 ride. I got some video that I've yet to download. I had to pull my dash camera out of the car in order to get it. I think it's in my pocket, which is what. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Hang on, I need to take this out of my pocket. Yep, dash cam. I meant to download the video earlier, and it was a couple of young people on full-on motocross bikes riding up Yonge Street, well, on the sidewalk. Yeah. Now, whether they were battery powered or not, they were full-on motorcycles, and they shouldn't be there. Now, what should happen with those? It's not enough to give them a ticket because they pay the $110 and move on, unless they're getting charged for the no insurance, which it does come with a big kick in the nuts, or take the bike. It's evidence. Why would we let them have it? It's illegal. Okay. R. Somerville says, if your truck only has a bench seat, can you put a child in a car seat? It depends if you can safely install it, but yeah, there's no law against having a child in the front seat, as long as there is one condition. If you look with installing certain car seats of certain aged children in certain positions, if you can protect them from an airbag, because there's no airbag there or you disabled it, then you can legally do it. You have to make sure you're conforming to all the rules and regulations surrounding it. And I would suggest you make sure it's installed correctly by talking to a certified technician. Sonia Bizarro, good evening to you too. And my day was going well. Thanks for asking. Just a reminder, I'm on multiple platforms right now, currently broadcasting on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. So if I'm not responding to you quickly, it's because I'm looking in 5 different places, and I hope that's okay with you. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I try to keep the roads a little bit safer through education, outreach, discussion, and fun. Not speeding kind of fun. If you want to go fast, by all means, go fast. Do it on a track, not on the road. Okay. Let's see here. We got some backwards conversation back and forth, arguing about whether or not you can touch your phone. Oh, Nick says he was traveling on those roads and never saw any police officers. There's not enough police officers to go around. They're there when you get. They're there to catch you, obviously. Or the joke is that there's never one when you need one, when it's somebody else that's pissing you off. But when you do something wrong, somehow they find you and give you a ticket. But yeah, we need way more police officers. We're understaffed across the country. There are not enough police officers to effectively impact the roadways because traffic, which is incredibly important, takes a backseat to violent crime and other calls that are priority, which is why we need more automated enforcement. I think this should be on every roads everywhere. Maybe that's what I should be doing. Maybe I should be advocating for road safety in government and lobbying for more cameras. That would make me a popular guy, wouldn't it? All right. What do we got here? We got. Okay. Deshaun says, hey, Sean, it's Deshaun. How's it going? And Archie Says crickets because I didn't answer him quick enough. Boom, boom, boom. All right, awesome. Scrolling back as things happen, and then I take time to talk about something, and the questions keep coming in. And it looks like this is a pre-recorded message, which it's not. This is all live, and I'm here to answer your questions, but you gotta have some patience because it's one at a time, and I deal with it as I get it. Maple Syrup Boy wants to know if you can give out a window. What is this? Can you give a window tint ticket out to an out of province driver? Yeah. So you are subject to the laws in the province that you are driving in, unless there's an exemption. So uh, here's an example of an exemption. If you are from a province that only issues one license plate, a rear one, then you are not subject to displaying two license plates as an out of province driver. But if you're driving an unsafe motor vehicle based on the standards of Ontario and you're driving in Ontario, then you are subject to the rules of Ontario. So you can get a ticket, you can dispute it, but illegal tint is illegal tint because of safety, and you don't get a pass for it simply because you are from somewhere else. You shouldn't be here. They don't want you. Rent a car when you're here. Fly. That's essentially the message they're sending, but it's for good reason. Tinted windows are illegal and unsafe because they're illegal and unsafe. Mostly because they're unsafe. Luna Vibes wants to know how life is since retirement. It's been busy. It's also been a lot to adjust to. Being a civilian after 25 years of being with the service has been quite an adjustment. And I miss my friends. I miss the folks at TPS. And I am always in a state of maybe I should have stayed. And then I argue with myself because I say, no, I left for a good reason. And it's back and forth. But I miss my friends. But thankfully, I have good friends and I still stay in touch with them. Texting, going, I saw everybody at the Honda Indy, or at least most of them. It was really good. So life is good. Life is good. Thanks for asking. We got Sonia Bazzaro who says, I saw TPS is hiring for communications officers. Would you say that it is a good job or that job is good? I've never worked that job. I can tell you it's incredibly important. It is a job that I'm sure is high stress, but we need them. And there's a high washout rate, so they're continuously hiring because I'd say 50% of those hired are able to pass at the standards needed to stay on the job. It's an excellent job. You get into an excellent pension program with excellent benefits, excellent pay. So if you're looking for something and you want a challenge, that is definitely a challenge. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. We'll call you Karg. Hey, been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the past couple of months. This could this help my application, or this could help my application? Yeah, being physically fit and being a self-defense person, Jiu-Jitsu is a big part of the police training. I would say that if you came from nothing, you would probably have a yellow or orange belt in Jiu-Jitsu by the end. Now that's what our trainers told us when we did it, which may not be accurate, but it's what they told us. The truth is, it's techniques from jiu-jitsu that they're probably going to be teaching or still teaching at the police college. So, yeah, it's good stuff. I like jiu-jitsu. I used to be very active in the martial arts. And I say very active, and it's like I was from 10 years old. I was in, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, karate, taekwondo. I got into some jiu-jitsu. It was fun stuff. Canuckian. They say drivers are terrible in Ontario now. 400 series people don't know how to drive anymore. Yes, that is correct. Ontario drivers, like many drivers around the world, suck. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of this. Okay, let's break it down. There are distractions within the vehicle. One, there are automations that make driving easier so that you have to do less and then you can focus on checking your email illegally, of course. But there's so much going on in the car that's taken care of for you. Just take ABS braking, anti-lock braking. You used to have to know how to operate the pedal, and now you can just smash that. Hope for the best. But it used to be a skill, and now it's a button, on or off. And so many people drive like it's an on-off switch. Braking, gas, it's all over the place. I'm actually looking forward to fully autonomous driving when these people who can't drive stop driving and let the computers do it, who will actually follow the rules. That's a thing. Something I look forward to. This is true. Okay. Manraj says, hey, Manraj Verk, what's happening? We got Jaden King. Is it illegal for a ticket cop to sit and wait for you to what? Is it illegal for a ticket cop to sit and wait for you to expire just to give you a ticket? Are you talking about parking or what? And no, if you are talking about parking, can they sit and wait for the parking to expire to give you a ticket? Yes. In fact, they have to give you a grace period. So if it expired and they wait the 10 minutes, which I think is what they do, and now you're ready to go. They don't have to like happen by you and go, oh my, an expired ticket. How about no? They can sit there and wait. And they chalk your tires. They'll chalk your tires or they'll make a valve stem note so they know you haven't moved the vehicle and they will ticket you. And they walk the same beat very often or drive or ride. And if you're there the first time they go by and you have time, they'll note that their vehicle had X number of minutes left. They'll come back and have another look and look at that. You're expired, not illegal. What I don't know what any other kind of ticket that you would wait for you to expire. I'm not waiting for your birthday for your license to expire. But yeah, maybe you can elaborate. Epic Life Enthusiast. They say try doing the military driving exam. It's more complex. Well, I've been lecturing and speaking with drivers who are doing the military driving program with the Canadian Armed Forces, at least the ones that are getting trained out of battle school in Toronto. I've done for years, I've been speaking with students that are new to the driving game. And I can't say that I know what how their military exam is different for driving. All I know is it's a great program because a friend of mine who's a retired staff sergeant was in charge of it. Yeah. Okay. LMAO Guri, what is this? They want to know who my thoughts on Jana and Kenny. I don't know who Jana and Kenny. They want to know what team I'm on. There's no team because I have no idea who they are. Okay, Harjeet says, what was the most rewarding thing about being a cop? Helping people. Obviously, that's why you do it. That's why police are police, is to help people. Jay Worthy says, unless it's a PTT phone. A PTT phone isn't so you're saying that if it's a PTT phone that you're exempt from using it? No. That would make it in radio mode, and PTT phones, I don't believe there's any exemption for that. A PTT radio, yes. The Mikey, like what PTT phone exists now? I'd like to know. There is an exemption for amateur radio operators. If you wanted to know, now you know. You can use your radio as an amateur certified radio operator in the amateur space. Okay, let's see here. We got Manraj who jumped on here on X. Is it illegal to remove chalk from tire applied by parking enforcement? No, it's not. You can go and you can detail your vehicle every 20 minutes if you want to. It's not illegal, but they don't have to use chalk. They can just mark where your valve stem is. And if you want to cut off your valve stems, you'll be flat. So don't do that. Since retiring from catering, for me, things have been busier, especially after partnering with Disney. I really want to talk, Brandon. We need to eat. B, I want to know about Disney. I want to go to Disney. Brandon says, talking on phones while driving is getting out of hand. Should be automatic arrest as drivers aren't taking the law seriously. Who does take the law seriously nowadays? It's this concept of, if I get a ticket, I'll just pay it, and it's cheap when you factor in how many times I violated. The subscription system for tint, the subscription system for having a single license plate, the subscription system for having no cats, no pipes. People know that it's illegal, and they're making plans knowing that they're going to get caught one day, and they just, the odds are they'll deal with it. They'll pay it, and they'll just keep doing it. How many people drive without insurance? That's the scary number. I would say 30% of the cars out there are uninsured. Good luck to you if you get into a collision and get hurt by somebody without insurance. Your insurance might be paying for them, at least the basic liability stuff. And try suing. It's just a crappy deal. And so many people could give two shoots about uh, you know, being out, they don't care. So you're really at risk. And the people who are really at risk are the pedestrians because they don't have insurance. They rely on the insurance of the car that hits them. Harjeet says, "Love listening to you on the Jerry Agar show." I love being on the Jerry Agar show. It's always good to hook up with with Jerry. I'm gonna call him Barry. I've been going to Barry, Ontario a lot lately, and there you go. I said Jerry. I said Barry. Barry Jerry. There's one of his producers or somebody who's on the show all the time calls him Jer Bear, which is definitely confusing because I would never call him Jer Bear, and we're friends. Matt Have says, "If I'm pushing a Hellcat, are you going to try and catch me?" If you've got a Hellcat, I'm going to try my best to identify you. Then I'm going to call my friends on the radio and I'm going to work together, possibly with an air unit, to determine where you're going and eventually catch you. And if you watch anything on social media, look at the magical stuff York Regional Police is doing with aerial support. Yeah, they're following people into underground parking lots and then arresting them. They are doing all sorts of magical stuff. You are an idiot if you run from the police. You're an idiot if you drive like an idiot, but if you're driving like an idiot and then you run from the police, you're a bigger idiot than you may know. Okay. Do cops chase runners? Check out the web. Yes. Like runners, like on foot runners, or we're talking about failed to stop for police. Well, here's the deal. Anytime a chase is going to take place, you have to weigh traffic safety. Chases are generally not safe. So public safety is a factor and it has to be weighed every time. And anybody on the air can call off a chase, except the person being chased. Lacoste says they agree 100% traffic. Ontario drivers suck. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, hit the button on the screen, like anywhere on the screen, tap the finger, show some likes to the live, helps bring more people to the party. The more people come to the party, the more questions, the diverse questions that come through, and it makes it better. So please, and share it regardless of the platform. Please like, follow, subscribe. If you are on YouTube or you plan on ever using YouTube, please go and follow Voiceover Cop on YouTube. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers. 1,000 followers gets us tech support and all sorts of other stuff. It's that threshold. It just gets better from there. What do we got here? Taha, will you cite if I'm cutting lanes when highway traffic is almost stopped on a motorcycle? Lane splitting? First of all, I'm a retired officer. I no longer am a police officer. I am now in totally different businesses. However, had you lane split in front of me in traffic and you were doing anything remotely dangerous, and it's the speed differential, the speed in which you were traveling beyond that of cars, which would have got my interest. If you were rolling slowly in traffic, I personally wouldn't have given you a hard time. But if you were zipping through traffic and you were putting others at risk, which is what happens when you lane split, especially if you are, doing it at such a pace that it's breakneck speeds. No, if you're going too fast, but it could be careless, it could be stunt, it could be criminal dangerous driving, and I've seen it all. But the guys who are rolling slowly down, I really don't have a problem with. Never did. And I'm a motorcycle guy. I've been riding since I was a kid, and I've done my share of lane splitting. Before I knew that it was illegal, I did it all the time. And was it safe? I never had an issue with it. Do I understand why it's not safe now? Yeah. As a police officer who investigated collisions where people got seriously injured doing it, I totally get why it's unsafe and why it's illegal in the United States and Canada, except for 5 U.S. states that make it legal. Other than like Hawaii and LA, I don't even know what the other states are, but I'm assuming it's probably Ohio because they don't even care about helmets. Anyway, Maple Leafer says, have you been to some gruesome collision scenes which would account for your harsh opinion for justice? Yes, I have been to some gruesome collision scenes. And my harsh opinion for justice, I'm black and white. I get the law. You either follow it or you don't. Did I get everybody a ticket that I spoke to? No, I don't think every time you stop someone, it has to be enforcement. I think sometimes based on the conversation, you can determine whether or not that person showed remorse, whether or not they were getting what you were putting down. And it could have been an educational conversation. I gave lots of warnings. In fact, I probably gave as many warnings as I gave tickets. It is my educational persona here online when I talk about it's legal or not legal. There's no in between. I tell you what it is. Whether or not every interaction had to be a ticket is a different story. I'm still a human being, and I still as well as much as I also I've said things that would likely give you the impression that I would jam up every driver. No, I wouldn't do that. So let's say you had 15 eligible tickets. I'd probably write you for the big ones and give you warnings for the easy ones. Or sometimes I was in reverso mode, and sometimes I gave you the tickets for the easy ones, and I'd warn you for the heavy ones. Like every situation was different. There was no absolute when doing traffic safety or enforcement. All right. 19 Berta says, so say you, but you buy, what is this? So say you just buy a new to you vehicle. Can you? Oh, sorry. The way you wrote it is really confusing to me. So you buy a new vehicle. Can you legally drive it back home? If it's insured and you have plates that are unattached. Now you're in Berta. I'm assuming Alberta. I don't know what the rules are there, honestly. Uh, I'd have to do some reading to give you a definitive answer. And the best thing to do is have you reach out to your local authorities to find out what it is there. However, in Ontario, if you have plates that are not attached or assigned to another vehicle, you can use those plates for up to 6 days to transport an insured vehicle home. The biggest thing is the insurance. And if you don't have insurance, you're really screwed because that comes with a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. TikToker says, do cops chase drivers that drive off? Let's say they don't have plates. Yeah, generally speaking, there's some level of pursuit when you fail to stop for police with the goal of trying to identify you or arrest you or both. Okay. So Berta goes on to say, no insurance or plate, or can I put a legal plate on? No. If you have no insurance, you can't drive. If you have a plate from another vehicle, you cannot drive. Chris Smith says, is Ontario seeing a lot of dark tinted front windows? Yes. Florida's seeing it a lot, like everywhere, and it's not legal there either. It's a problem. People have somehow been told that it's okay, and they've been lied to. And the truth is, a lot of them get away with it for a long time until they get caught, and then they get upset and go, but I've been driving with this like for a year. The truth is that if you don't get caught, it doesn't mean it's legal. It just means you've been lucky. Okay. Let me look over here for a second. Manraj says, I relocated to the States. Drivers in Texas are worse than Ontario. Do you know that in Texas, which by the way has ridiculous speed limits, I think it's like 80-mile-an-hour highways, they have tremendously high traffic fatality rates, and they're spending big bucks on traffic safety education. Go find out from your local police. I should come down and do a visit to Texas. I've actually looked at Texas as a place to live. I would do that. I would go to Texas because they have barbecue in Texas. Like nobody else has barbecue. They have barbecue. But what are you doing in Texas? Let me know. I'm interested to know your story. David says, can you specify how dark I can tint my car in Ontario on every window? The law in the HTA doesn't specify. It says that there's specific charges for obscure interior of motor vehicle with color or reflective tint, color or reflective film. So if you apply a film to the vehicle, a coating, that's either it specifies the windows left and right of the driver. It also deals with the windshield. So it's actually in the vehicle inspection guide where it details which limits there are for certification. The biggest thing is if I can't see it as a police officer, you get a ticket for $110. If I determine that it's unsafe and you're blocked the driver's view and can't see out appropriately, it's another $110. And it deals specifically with the windows directly left and right of the driver and the windshield. Now, if it's the windshield, that's an unsafe motor vehicle. 2017 or new cannot be certified with windshield tint of any kind. If it was before 2017, you can have up to 3 inches of what's 3 inches or to the PSA line, PS1 line, why was it PSA? Because PS1 is a video game platform. Anyway, so if it was pre-2017, you can have that 3-inch strip, 73 millimeters, I think it is. And if you have a newer vehicle, you can't have anything on the windshield. It's an unsafe motor vehicle. You can lose your plates. They can be seized, and you can be charged for unsafe motor vehicle, and you can get it towed. So that's a thing. The windows in the back are not regulated. You can have your rear privacy tint on your back windows, your rear window. You have to have mirrors though, left and right, or you're going to get tickets for that. You have to have a clear view to the rear, and it's hard to argue if you can't see or they're non-functional. So that could be a thing. John Kern says, person hit with uninsured car driver, how much of injuries would be covered with OHIP? I don't know the number. It's a much lower threshold. It's basic cover. So if you have no insurance, so you insure yourself, but you also insure others that you hit. Like if you hit a pedestrian, you'd be covering them up to a liability threshold, which is requirements for all vehicles. So there's a fund for people who are struck without insurance, like pedestrians. But I don't know the breakdown. Those would be a great questions for Ask a Lawyer. I want to do a segment with my friends from the Magical Diamond and Diamond Lawyers, who I go and jump on their podcast all the time. But if I remember to make notes, which I often don't remember, I'll ask that question because it's a great question. Maybe we send me an email and we'll forward it off to the folks there and do a segment on it. Cargo wants to know what my favorite assignment was. Invictus Games, by far. Most emotional, most rewarding, amazing, just amazing. How do I feel about bail reform in Canada? I can't get into this. We're going to keep this traffic because I don't want to be pissed off. And that's the whole bail concept. It's everywhere is a problem. We're not supposed to hug a thug. We're supposed to put them away and keep the streets safe. So when the courts are working against you, and when friendly policing and friendly courts are worried about the rehabilitation of the person who's robbing and harming the community, we're not doing any good. So Brandon says he's got to go to bed. Says I'm signing off. Have a fantastic night. Good stuff, Brandon. Good to hear from you. We'll see you again. Harteg Bueller. What is this? Oh, I want to be a drugs and gangs enforcement officer. Do you have an idea how hard and how to get into it? Well, first of all, worry about getting into being a police officer in the first place. It's hard to get into be a copper, and it's harder to get into specialized enforcement units like those. Um, Everyone wants the cool movie cops position, so it's competitive, and you got to be a worker. So get on, cut your teeth on being a cop first, and then be a badass cop later. AJ the Awesome says, aloha, aloha to you too. And let me go back into the tube of you. What am I saying? I'm going back into TikTok and Instagram. Let's have a look here. So I've been ignoring guys. See all these questions come in. I love being able to put them on the screen. If you want to have your question on the screen, it's YouTube, X, or LinkedIn. But in terms of Instagram, I'm just reading off a screen. Oh, Karg says, I can imagine it was way harder to be a cop when you were applying. I think it was harder to get in because it was much more competitive. More people wanted to be a cop. I think it's easier to become a cop now because nobody wants the bloody job. It's the truth. You know, they used to have 3,000 applications for 300 positions. Now they have 300 positions. Sorry, they have 300 applications for 3,000 positions. It's totally upside down. People don't want to do the job. People don't want to be a hard ass and have to tell people what to do. People aren't confrontational. We have a different kind of thing. Everybody wants to give out warm hugs, and you can't police with warm hugs. Someone's got to make a decision. Someone's got to be a hard ass sometimes. I'm good at being a hard ass. Yeah. All right. Can parking enforcement officer park illegal to sorry, can a parking enforcement officer park illegally to write a parking ticket? Yes. They're not parking, they're getting out to write you a ticket. And police and can actually violate basic laws, bylaws, and parking's a bylaw to enforce other bylaws. They're doing their job. If they're parking to go shopping, different story. Tony Gusto, Murphy, what's going on? Mark, just scrolling through. What was the worst and best excuse for speeding? My favorite pathetic excuses. I had to poo, which always resulted in them being followed to the closest bathroom so they could, in fact, poo and then get their tickets afterwards. But there was never a good excuse. The best excuse, it was a joke. The best one that I ever heard was, officer, the reason I was speeding was I saw you behind me and I thought you were trying to, well, no, I screwed it up. It was my wife ran away from me and hooked up with a traffic officer. I thought you were him trying to give her back. And that was the joke that once upon a time I thought was really funny. And that's never actually been given as an excuse, other than the fact that I heard the joke once upon a time. Okay. Rowdy says, every cop I pass stares at me. I'm in a stock '09 Yaris with no exhaust and a stock ride height. A Yaris with no exhaust? Maybe that's why they're staring at you. Are you not supposed to have an exhaust? Because a Yaris is not a fancy schmancy car by any stretch, but running it with no exhaust pipe could make it really loud and violate a couple of laws. Ben says, if you have a beginner's permit, can you drive in another province? Technically, it's not intended for that purpose. You're supposed to drive in your own province, supervised by a G class driver with 4 years experience at the G2 and G level. They have a G class license and have 4 years of experience, not including their G1 time. So technically, no, but it's up to the jurisdiction whether they accept it or not. Very often they do. Half the time they don't even realize that it's not technically not valid there. What do you think about the issues coming out about the SIG pistols P320? I think they're used by Canadian. Are they used by Canadian law enforcement? And have you ever seen any one of those issues? So one, I'm not familiar with them, but I think I own one of those. And tell me what the issues are. Now I want to go look it up and find out what it is. Pocket Red. Oh, Pocket Red Dead. Would you let me speed? I have nothing to do with policing anymore other than talking about policing online. I have no jurisdiction to tell you not to. Had I still been a police officer, no, I would not let people speed because I was a traffic cop and I pulled people over for it. Stephen wants to know if you can get a doctor's note for tint. And no, there's no doctor's note in the province of Ontario. I mean, you can have a doctor's note. Doesn't mean diddly squad. Just saying. Melody, how you doing? I thought of you immediately when this question came in because Melody and I have talked about this because she has a client, a customer. She's a mechanic, Melody the mechanic. And the question always comes up, and she has a client who says he has a doctor's note. And I'll tell you, a doctor's note might get you out of a ticket because the copper might say, I understand the legitimate reason. It's not legal, but I'll give you a pass this time. And that might work a few times until people start reading the notes that are left. Yeah. Oh. So apparently the P320 is having issues with holsters and going off in holsters. I wonder why that is. Are they copying? There's no physical it's set up like a Glock. There's no physical safety. There is a safety. Isn't there a safety? I thought there was a safety. If you are putting it and holstering it with a safety on it, shouldn't be. It's not have to cocker. Anyway, I have to have a look at it. Any case, I know someone who shot their foot with the Glock when they holstered their firearm with the finger in the trigger. Yeah. Okay. He's going to look in and find out if it's P320 or something else. Excellent. Darren Gofton says, if I have a medical exemption for tint, can other people legally drive my car? Well, first of all, there's no medical exemptions for tint in Ontario, and the medical exemption would apply to the driver, not the vehicle. It's not an exemption for the. It's this is why there is no such thing as a medical exemption. So no, if your vehicle is unsafe for the road in Ontario, nobody can drive the car. It's not legal because there is no medical exemption. It's a silly concept. Buy sunglasses. There should be no medical exemption, and there is no medical exemption. Gunto Gig says, how long does it take for your license to get suspended if you haven't paid for a ticket? I don't know. It's for whatever time they pull the trigger and issue you a suspension. So, generally speaking, it takes 7 days until the paperwork gets through the system and you're deemed. So within 7 days, you're still suspended, but you're not deemed served. I think it's 7 days. So if it's court, they're going to send documentation. You haven't received it because you were absent from court. You may not be charged necessarily, but you're still suspended. You won't be able to drive from that point forward because you're going to be served from that moment onward. However, if you have been served or you were present for court, then there is no delay. L Mangle says, I remember seeing you at the car show or a car show. Which car show? Been to a number of them. But I'm glad you found me here. John Kern says, in your career, did you ever train rookies like they did in the Rookie TV show? I was not a field training officer. I was not part of the FTO program. However, I did train the traffic component of that. So as a traffic specialist, what would happen is someone would do their 10 weeks with a training officer, and then they would do rotations at traffic, and I would take new recruits, newly signed off from their FTO program, and then they'd come to me for a period of time and learn traffic. And they get really sick and tired of doing the impaireds because I would find them all the time, and that's like the heaviest work. Oh, Jay Furious says, I know this is not a traffic question, but how do you feel about Doug Ford's castle law? I don't know about Doug Ford's castle law, but I like what he says about the concept that you should be able to defend yourself. I'm 100% behind the concept of defending your family, your property, your loved ones, your person. Like I'm very much in favor of self-defense, a vigorous self-defense. Yes. So I think we've got a lot going on in the States that we should be doing here based on how out of control it is here. But I'm weird. I'm used to carrying a firearm. I would have no problem carrying a firearm as a civilian. I'm trained and qualified. Give me a gun. I'm good. Good guy with a gun is a good thing to have. Okay. Dave says, hey, Sean, a truck was stolen off a job site today. It was stopped doing 130 to 160. Is that truck impounded? If it was stunt driving at those speeds, it may very well have. Then it would have been impounded. If it was a stolen vehicle, it would be taken as a stolen vehicle recovered, and it could be printed, could be part of the evidence chain. Very often, if it's not required for evidentiary purposes, the owner would be contacted and it would be returned. But it all depends on what they're keeping it for. Steven says, yes, Dave, that truck is impounded. Steven may very well know that. Slow 63 says, is my life ruined? I got charged with dangerous operation times one flight times drive while suspended times one. Oh, dangerous operation times one, flight times one, drive while suspended. Yeah. Well, is your life ruined? No. You made some really stupid decisions to get those charges. Get some defense. Yeah. Yeah. I'd hire a lawyer. Not saying you're getting off, but maybe they can soften the blow. All right. Steven says, you probably wouldn't get it back in the first 14 days anyway. In terms of the impounded vehicle, yeah. Ben says, if you have we talked about that one. Steven, what is Dave saying? Dave is talking to Steven. Okay. It's Nee says, so I have a G license. Can I tow a trailer with a mini excavator that's under 10,000 pounds? Depends on what you're doing. Look at the back of your license. It will tell you what the maximum capacity, with the maximum weight you can tow. Why do I want to say what is it? Let's look at the back of my license, which has no special privileges, but I don't remember the number offhand. So let's have a look at it. So you've got a 11. So combination 11,000 kilos max. The towed vehicle max is 4,600 kilos. So I'm going to say that you cannot tow a 10,000. Well, it's kilos. So 4,600. Let's do some math. 4,600 times 2.2. 10,120. It looks like you might be okay, but depending on the total vehicle weight, combination, and so on. So don't assume. Make sure you confirm the weight and the ability to safely operate. Like you talk about a mini excavator, that might really screw you up if you are not towing that properly, not loading it properly. It might be the recipe for a horrible crash. So I'd get checked out. Make sure you have the appropriate, not just license weight. Make sure that the rig that you're towing can do it and do it safely. Boom, boom, boom. Any highways that G1 drivers are allowed to drive on. There's a couple of exemptions areas where you can't get to, but the whole thing is go look at the list. Like you're not allowed to be on roads that are above 80 kilometers an hour, but there's a couple of roads where you cannot get in and out of an area without going on those roads. So and I don't remember what they are. I've never remembered what they are. Stephen jumped in and said, if its registered gross weight of the trailer is more than 10,000, then no. X says, why do y'all get so mad at speeders? Who cares if they go so fast? Well, because speeders who go fast end up hurting people. Speed kills. Nobody wants to admit it. Everyone seems to think they know better. And yet, they're not correct. Speeding is incredibly dangerous. The faster you go, the longer it takes to stop or even slow down. And you certainly rush up on stuff a lot faster. And when something goes bad, it just goes back. It just goes bad worse and quicker. Yeah. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, where have you been? I've been on the internet for years. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I want to help you. If you got questions, ask them. That's what I'm here for. We're only on for another 5 or 10 minutes tonight, but I'm going to come back. And I'm supposed to go on tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's what I've been doing for ages. But I've got a meeting till 11. So what I imagine I'm going to do is just is over and then go live. That's the thing. I'll do that live tomorrow. I'll post it and confirm tomorrow morning when it's going to happen. But if you've got more questions and want to ask those questions, jump on tomorrow and I'll ask them or answer them then. And if you miss tomorrow and you don't get your question answered tonight, know that I will also do this all over again next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. I do it Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the summer with an intention to go back to a more regular schedule when the warm weather is finished and we're back to fall and a regular school schedule and no summer camp business. And yeah, my life is upside down, but I love it. I'm a camp chauffeur. Take my kids to camp. That's part of my routine. Okay. Let's see here. Stephen, thank you. His response to X as to why we all get so mad at speeders, he said it even simpler than I did. He says, is that a serious question? Because it puts everyone else on the road at risk. And that is a much more direct answer. Lacoste says, good night, Sean. Catch you in the next live Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. X says to Stephen, if there's no harm, no foul, if I get a ticket for going 20 over in a street, that's BS. Or you could just be a grown up and not speed because you have no self-control that you have to do 20 over because you can't plan your crap and everyone else has to be at a higher risk. 20 over is a multiplier. You're like 10 times more. You're at 10 times higher the chance of becoming involved in the collision at 20 over. Pretty sure that's the stat. It might be slightly off. The fact is, the faster you go, you're increasing your risk. And that risk is not just you. It's everybody else. That is at the whim of your obnoxious decision to speed. Brutal says, did you ever work with a staff sergeant named Ian? First name or last name? Because I'm sure I worked with a staff sergeant named Ian. I don't know if I know a last name Ian or Lan. Is that Ian or Lan? Could be either. Cardos VZN says, asks, is it legal to have a rear decal on my rear windshield? So the rear window, can you cover it? You don't even need a rear window. You can have an opaque window. You can paint it black, technically, from the police perspective, not from a mechanic certification perspective. And John, I forgot to take your question off the screen. Okay, AJ the Awesome says, just confirmed the 320 is having issues with uncommanded discharges. A U.S. Navy member recently died as a result of it. They've gone off in hands, holsters, and desks. Really? I got to really look into it. Bancroft Girl says, hi, I'm having a discussion with my friend, and she claims she can drive topless legally in Ontario. Is this true? Yes, as long as it's not for work purposes, you can absolutely be topless in Ontario. This was once upon a time a big thing, not the topless while driving, but the right for women to be able to be topless in Ontario was a big thing. Everyone was doing it for a period of time. It's still, people certainly do it on occasion, but it's not as commonplace as it once was when it was first made legal. But it cannot be for a work purpose. So what happened as soon as this was made legal is there were some topless car washes that popped up and they were shut down. It was determined that was for work. And then they said, well, we're not really working. We're volunteering. Yeah, they got shut down. But you can drive while topless in Ontario. And they they like that question. Hard dig says, but what a question. Okay. What is the process for getting fingerprinted? Do you mean if you're being charged or just being fingerprinted for the purposes of a job or background check? Uh, let me know the context. I mean, if you become a member of the Toronto Police or any police service, you're fingerprinted for exclusionary purposes. If you are getting a background check and you get a hit that you might have the same date of birth and name as somebody else who has an issue, they might fingerprint you to determine if you are them or you are not them, to exclude you. Okay. AJ the Awesome says, almost lost it all due to a reckless driver speeding on the highway, flying at night with no lights. Guy almost flattened me. He was going like 175. Flatten's a good descriptor. People who are violators don't realize the consequences of one missed anything, a turn, a light. Going fast is not a good thing unless you're on the track. If you go to a track, if you're a race car driver, if you're doing it the legal way, do it. Power to you. I love going fast. Legally. Don't be a dipshit and do it on the road. Greg Wing says, can my service dog and I use the HOV lanes? No, your dog doesn't qualify for the HOV lanes. Furry friends, even when they are working, don't count, unfortunately. At least not that I'm aware. And maybe there's some special exemption for you guys, but I don't think that's the case. Certainly, I've never told anybody that they could because even the unborn don't count. And those are more human than our furry friends. But that's a different conversation altogether. People say pregnant women should be able to use the HOV line. And no. Okay. Capitals Production says, so let's say someone got in. What is this? So let's say somebody got into an undertaking, was ordered to come in for identification. What is the process of going in for your identification on your date? Oh, I mean, roughly what you do is you go in, you identify yourself and say what you're there for, and they probably are expecting you, and they're just going to have you go in with an officer and scan your fingerprints. Probably. I've never worked at the front desk. I'm not a fingerprint qualified person. So, I mean, I've been there for other people doing it, and it's not even ink anymore. It's just a scan sheet, a computer use, like opening your iPhone used to be before the face phone did it. All right, moving along. And then I'm going to try and wrap it up in the next 10. Baroness says, I have a question. I'm in Milton. I was in Milton today. Got notice my license is suspended from a traffic ticket in 1994. No kidding. Weird. You got notice today that you were suspended based on a 1994 ticket? Pourquoi? Like, there's got to be more than that. Why would that suspension only give you notice now? And I would hire somebody to look into that. At least go to the courts and ask them what the hell we're talking about. That seems a little dated. I mean, it's possible, but I would try and get that squashed. Doesn't make sense. Laz wants to know if I think every car should have a dash cam. Yes. I love this one. This is my U1000 from Thinkware. And if you watch my channel and all the dash cam footage that I share, I shouldn't say all, a great deal of it is from this bad boy. 4K front camera, 2K rear camera. Now it's the U3000 replaced it. I'd love to move up to that, but I can't justify another $600. But that's okay. AJ says that ticket was obviously or definitely lost and found during cleaning. But yeah, the tickets, if the conviction was registered and the suspension was somewhere in the file of facts, maybe, but it doesn't make sense. Oh, AJ the Awesome got fingerprinted and retina scanned for his Nexus. What a cool process. I've been meaning to get Nexus for 20 plus years. I just never got around to doing it. All right. Oh, Capitals Production says, okay, thanks a lot for that question. I'm SSM, and I feel like you and our traffic sergeant, Joe Potteries, would make a really good episode. I think he should reach out to me. Absolutely. In fact, somebody did reach out to me recently. I got to go back and look at what that was that I never responded to. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, absolutely reach out. And I'd love to talk to Sergeant Joe. It's almost like a perfect chop for the episode. What is this? Ben says, if I have a CZ license, does the 0 BAC still apply if I'm driving a G-Class vehicle? I have always said no. I've never had anybody bring me any quantifiable, any confirmable evidence to suggest that it is always when you're when you have a C license or commercial license. If you have an M class license and you're a learner in a G and the learner's permit applies, the restrictions of the learners applies when you're driving that class of vehicle. Yeah, I don't think you do. I can't find, and I've had people at the ministry say that it is when you drive at all times. I don't agree with them. I've not had a judge tell me otherwise. And it really, at some point, it's got to be deferred to a lawyer, because I say that cops won't charge you for being over zero when you're not driving a vehicle that has the condition. This condition applies to the vehicle classification that it's intended for. Age of the Awesome says he's going to bed. David says, can you specify how dark the tint can be in my car on every window? The windows left and right of the driver, no more than 30%. The window in front of you, the windshield, 0. You can't have anything there. The windows behind you, anything you want. Now, that 30% comes from 30% light blockage, 70% visual light transmission, visible light transmission. That's what the mechanics need to go by for certification. If you can't get it certified, it's an unsafe motor vehicle and it can't be on the road, lose your license plates. It would be about 20% light, 20 to 25% for the average officer to write you a ticket, because you're obscuring the interior of the motor vehicle. Can't see in, get a ticket. Peter says, hi, question for you, please. Why did you stop being a police officer? Family stuff. I needed to be home more. Family first, that's the thing. And I mean, it's a complicated answer, but that's the answer. It's really complicated because it's this multifaceted answer. But I did the right thing for my family. Miss it terribly. Like, personally, I miss the job, miss the people, miss all aspects of policing. Just being able to say policing. But I'm very comfortable now with it being. Oh my goodness. Oh no, it's a month away from being a year since I turned in my kit and ceased to be a police officer. Antigua 1999 says, hello, hot sauce man. How's it going? Yes, I like hot sauce. I've eaten some very hot sauce on this channel. And I've even done the one chip challenge, which was a big mistake because it hurt. It didn't hurt going down. It hurt and made me feel ill afterwards. That has some photos and possibly some video evidence of it. And it was a really dumb move. Don't ever do that. Why Ontario? What is this? Why Ontario law enforcement officers are more professional than Quebec? Couldn't tell you. I can't even say that that's I have no experience with that. I'm hearing, I think my air conditioning is kicking on and kicking off. Something's going on. X says, I want to be a cop, but I don't want to go to college. Do I have to go to college? No, you don't have to be a college, but you should probably stop speeding because driving record is important. And if you're someone who's endorsing that driving fast, don't be a cop. If you don't respect the laws, don't be a cop. We don't need people who can't follow the rules. Okay. What's the process for getting? We talked about that. Hey, why can you guys? What is it? Hey, why can you guys in Ontario have doors off, but the rest of Canada, it's a no-no? I'm not aware of any law that prevents people from driving their doors off. If it's designed to drive without doors, take the doors off. They're mostly for looks anyway. They're designed. The vehicles are designed to have the doors off. I mean, aside from the fact that you may have something protrude through the doors because a car could be in the space your door was, those doors are paper freaking thin. They're not going to stop a crash. Anyway, that's an opinion thing, not a professional thing. What happens if you get pulled over with an expired temp tag? You get charged. Do trailers require lights on the trailer plate? Yes. What's the process for getting fingered? We talked about that. Thank you for always sharing your knowledge. Maverick sends that message. You're very welcome. I do my part. I try my best. Okay, Tinsdale and DJ Spin. Any advice for a first timer who's being charged with speeding and stunt? Hire somebody. That's not an advice thing. That's get professional representation. That's a serious charge. That comes with a $2,000 to $10,000 fine, a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition, and a up to 6 months in jail kind of consequence. So that's on top of everything else with the yeah. Get representation. What is this? Is driving due to not care count on your driver's abstract? Like due to not care? Like care less driving? Yeah, it's pretty horrible on your driver's abstract. Okay. Scrolling. What's the legality of radar detectors and what's the fine for it in Ontario? They're prohibited for buying, selling, transporting, using $170 2 demerit points, and we can search your vehicle and seize the device if we believe that it's there. John says cops allow speed in Elmer, Ontario, Canada. No, cops do not allow speed in Elmer, Ontario, Canada. Cops in Elmer ticket cadets going to the Elmer, Ontario Police College. That's the one place you don't speed as a cop. They will hammer you. Crash Davis says, thank you. You're welcome. You're talking about that. People right turns on green. I'm making a right turn on a green, and an oncoming car is making a left turn. Who has the right of way? The person who's making the right turn. The right turn on the green has the person who's crossing oncoming traffic does not have the right of way. They're crossing oncoming traffic. They have to ensure everyone has to ensure that their turn can be made and completed safely, but the person who's making a left turn always has more responsibility. Can I get into trouble for having an Ontario license and a Vermont license? You can only carry one license. I mean, you can have 2 licenses, but you can't carry on Ontario 2 licenses. You're supposed to turn in your other license. And if you're suspended on one, you're suspended on both. Especially like if you're suspended on your Ontario license and you come to Ontario with your Vermont license and say, I'm driving, we pull you over, we treat you as a suspended driver regardless. And then possibly give you the extra charge for having another license from another jurisdiction. Well, the charge is driving on a license from another jurisdiction while suspended in Ontario. What are we talking here? Oh, yeah. Bucky wants to know if there's any restrictions on how wide your wheels can be on how much they stick out. Yeah, they're not supposed to stick out at all. Improper tires, they're unsafe, they're unsightly, they rooster tail. So no mud flaps is a charge if they protrude and they're not covered by any covering. But there's so much wrong with it. So yeah, they're not enforced as much as they should. They should be hammered. Don't have those. They're silly. They look cool, but they're silly. Tristan says, if I own a radar but it's not mounted, can I still be taken if cops see it? Yes. You are not allowed to have it. If you're going to transport it, at least don't get caught by having it on or seen. Yeah. But they'd have no reason to look for it, right? But Tinsdale's right. If you stop for another reason, they see it, they can certainly take it. And it's not just radar. It's laser detectors. It is jammers. It's anything that interferes with police's ability to monitor and enforce traffic laws, specifically speed. But it really, once you start getting into the wording, it applies to everything. I modded a passenger van to be a camper. Does that attract heat when just sitting in parks and stuff? I don't think so. No, I can't say that. They back in the old days, used to creepy vans and stuff, but it's less a thing now. The fact is, you're probably going to get investigated just because you're hanging out in parks and stuff, not just because you have a camper van conversion. It happened this evening. Cops speeding in 60 Elmer, Ontario over 80 Black. Okay. Cop speeding in 60 Elmer, Ontario over 80 Black. I don't understand the way you worded it to try and understand what you're saying. You're saying the cop was doing 80 and a 60 and didn't get pulled over, or they do. You have to understand that not every police officer is actively engaged in speed enforcement all the time. Some things happen in front of cops and they're busy doing other things and can't respond, but might have had they not been busy. How long ago were you a cop? That's the Jaws TikTok question. And I left at almost a year ago. In a month, it'll be a year. So 11 months ago, I was a cop. Is there a no chase law in Canada? No. Would you pull me over for doing 69 and a 50? Yes. 59 and a 60? Oh, 69 and a 60. They've changed their 69 and a 60 probably wouldn't get my attention. Can I drive a car with a modified exhaust, but it still has the mufflers? Depends. If it's noisy, no. If it's muffling, depends. Hey, quick question. If I get a speeding ticket, but it isn't crazy, like 12 over and 120 over, but it was due to the fact of not seeing the sign and not slowing down. If I take the driving class to get demerits back, could I be seen as a good thing or I screwed? Do you mean good thing to whom? Like police application? Or, I mean, these are minor. 12 over is no points, 20 over is 3 points. If you're convicted on both of those, I mean, your insurance is going to beat you up, but will that ruin your driving career? Will it ruin your application to process to a police service? No. You gotta have no more than 6 demerit points. Sarah the Queen. Sarah. I can't read it all. It's too far away and too small. Hello, Sean. Long time not enjoy your life. I think you mean like long time no see. Enjoy your life. I've been having a great time. Thanks for saying hey. Are you reading TikTok comments? Yes. Just like that one. I'm reading all the comments, or at least trying to. And I keep saying I'm leaving, and I'm now 4 minutes later than I thought I would be. So I said I'd go about 10 after. Can you pass on a solid line, or is it just a recommendation not to? The yellow line is a suggestion. In Ontario, there's no law for crossing that line, but if you cross that line and cause a collision, you're absolutely on the hook for it, especially because you ignored the great advice of the solid line. But you wouldn't get a ticket for it necessarily. And if it didn't cause any issue, you probably wouldn't have a problem. It's just when things go south, they go south quickly. Ryan, the thin white line interceptor. Hello, my friend. How are you? Good day, good sir. A transit bus is parked in the right turn lane at an intersection. Are people allowed to go around it, the bus to turn right whilst the bus is stopped in a turn lane? Is the bus stopped servicing the lane or the stop there? Is it just out of commission because the guy driving it wanted to get a coffee? It really depends. Is it reasonable to go around it if it can be done safely? If that vehicle is disabled, I would say yes, it is. But it all depends. Here's the big thing. Is it stopped right at the intersection? Then you're making an improper turn. And it's really going to be whether or not an officer determines that is a safety hazard, a risk, an unsafe maneuver. If the bus was servicing the stop and not going anywhere, and you could safely make a lane change into the turning lane in front of the bus and then make the turn from the appropriate lane, I would say there's nothing wrong with that. If they're just being aggressive and going past the bus while it's servicing and the bus is trying to move, and so it all depends. But is there a specific law on the books that says thou shalt not pass bus servicing? I don't think that exists. What do we got here? What are the physical requirements for Ontario police, for Ontario provincial police, or police services in Ontario? Because they're different. Tracy, hi, Sean. I'm finally back in the beautiful Muskoka. Welcome back. Can semi-trucks form road trains in Ontario? You mean like multiple trucks running one after the other? Like they're all going in the same direction? Or do you mean trucks having multiple trailers? I need you to specify. Andy says because Quebec likes pulling over Ontario plates. Okay. Probably related to professional police officers in Quebec versus Ontario. Oh, okay. Scrolling, trying to catch up to some stuff before I say goodnight. Is police planes that patrol still in use? I heard no. I'm sure there's still some in use, but the helicopters are also in use. Depends on the jurisdiction you're in. If there's a 2-lane road and one is closed due to whatever when merging, who has the right of way? Is it one in, one out? I'm not picking up what you're putting down. It's a 2-lane road, one east, one west, and one is closed. There should be if it's a closed road, it should either be controlled by a person with a sign or a temporary traffic signal that would control the flow of traffic, not just figure it out. So I don't know the scenario. Farmer CTD says, so I failed my class 3 for running a yellow light, but couldn't stop because I had a car behind me. Okay. So here's the thing. Running a yellow light suggests that you had copious space and chose to go through it when you could have stopped. Their story against yours. Yellow means stop. And if you were doing the appropriate speed, you should have been able to stop, would be my assertion. Don't know your scenario, and I wasn't there, so I can't really judge you for it. But if they thought that you should have stopped, you probably should have stopped. Having somebody behind you, it's their responsibility to ensure that they have enough space to stop. And if they were really up your ass, then maybe you have a justification. But they failed you. Badcat43, do you know who you contact if you think your driving license is used by someone other than you? First, make a police report and give the reason why. Let them start the investigation. You report it to police. Are you required to answer questions when pulled over? You have to identify yourself, and there's some demands that you'd have to comply with. But if I ask you what your favorite color is, or where you're coming, or where you're going, no, you don't. That's just conversation. You don't have to, but you have to identify yourself to the satisfaction of the police officer, or you could be arrested. How much sound can you turn up after market subwoofer sets? You can get tickets for unnecessary noise, which could include use of subwoofers, use of your vehicle's engine or exhaust, depending on whether, never mind regular, like legal volume. Like, it's just unnecessary noise. Honk the horn, unnecessary noise. Squeal your wheels, unnecessary noise. Rev your engine, unnecessary noise. If it's not directly related to the safe operation of your vehicle, including your stereo, you could be charged. Taha says, hey, Sean, I left a question, but I've had to leave before you could answer. I may have answered it. I don't recall. Oh, I did answer you, Taha. And I said, depends. If it was really slowly crawling through traffic, I did that when I was younger, and I probably wouldn't have an issue with you doing it safely either. But that's me, and it's every officer going to make their own determination. Miko wants to know if his dad can use his Philippine license. If he's a resident of the Philippines, yes. If he's a resident of Ontario, no. If he lives here, his Philippine license after 30 days is no longer, 30 days, 60 days is no longer usable. If he's a resident here. If he's visiting here but lives there, then he can use it as a visitor. But if he's a resident here, he cannot. Okay. Corrado says, driving speed limit on 400 series is dangerous. Everyone's doing 130 minimum, and you're absolutely right. But no, they're actually doing 100 minimum when I'm on the road, because I'm the one doing 100 or 80, depending on the zone you're in. The hour in the night used to see you like 12 in the day. It used to do 6. What I do? I used to do 8 in the morning, and then I started doing 10 in the morning, and now I'm doing 1 day a week nighttime. And just because there's different people with different access and times, and I want to be around to help everybody out. So night times on Tuesday nights, daytimes on Wednesday. I'm going to be on tomorrow around 11. All right. What happened here? One Flame had something. Old Canadian, when you pulled over Jeff, we talked about that. Would you pull someone over in a 50 zone for going 51? No. If two cars opposite each other are coming to a 2-lane road, both turning left, who has the right of way? They're both turning left. They're both obligated to ensure they can complete their turn safely. They both have an equal responsibility. They're both making lefts. Neither has right of way. They're both equally responsible to ensure. So one person's going to get the benefit to go first or safely. But if anyone causes a collision, you're just going to share the responsibility. Okay. Is it legal to have train horns on your vehicle? It's legal, as long as you use them responsibly. I just was interviewed by the Globe and Mail about unnecessary noise and horns. If I don't stop on the highway and run over If I don't stop on the highway and I run over wild animals avoiding potential collision because of traffic, legal? If you take out an animal instead of a human being, it's legal. I mean, that's you don't cause a collision and harm a million people on the road. A million, being excessive. You don't try and you don't cause a collision and hurt people to save a squirrel. The squirrel's going to say goodbye. It was a Escafuza says, just me or massive echo? I'm not aware of an echo. I think it's just you. I just listened to a feed from the live and I don't hear an echo. Let's see here. Yeah, Tessa says no echo. And Tracy says no echo. Thank you for confirming. All right. With that, I am going to say goodnight. I can keep doing this all night, but I have things to do and wives to make coffee for. So have a wonderful evening. I'll be back tomorrow, not at 10. I got to delay it because I have a meeting. I have a Zoom call at 10:30. So I'll talk at you soon tomorrow. Check out the Ask a Traffic, actually, voiceover cop on X so that I can promote the episode and you can see it. But go follow on YouTube. It's a great platform. We have archives of everything I've ever done, like 4 years of live streams and stuff. And AG says, can I answer you? Answer AG about what? AG says, I don't see your question, AG. You just say, oh, I need help with what I should do. I see that, but I don't see the question. So do me a favor, AG, go to askatrafficcop.ca and leave me a voicemail there. I'll respond, or send me an email to voiceovercop@gmail. I also have Ask a Traffic Cop. It's too complicated, too many email addresses. And interesting. MVA Canny says I'm echoing, but nobody else hears the echoing, so it must be a loop on your end. All right. With that, I'm out of here. Have a great night. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally. I'll be here tomorrow to answer your questions. And if you can't be there tomorrow, I'll be here next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. to do it all over again. Be safe out there, everybody.